What's up, peeps? My name is Ice. I'm here at Warriors of the Light. Thought maybe I'd take a break from the kitchen and remind you of the fact that I am, in fact, a knife thrower. I thought it'd be cool to do just a basic tutorial on single spin rotational knife throwing. We're going to do what's called a casual throw. For competitions like ICTHOF, you're required to have a single rotation from a specific distance, which I believe is at minimum 9'2", which at Warriors of the Light is where our red mark is. My casual throw is actually from directly in front of that, so my back leg is at 9'2". But for anybody that has knives, you'll notice that they always have holes back from the center weight point. The bottom hole triggers a much quicker spin. You would typically only use that for a much farther throw. And the top hole, typically you would use that for a competition like ICTHOF, where you would have to do a full grip to do a single rotation from that line. A casual grip or a pinch grip is where you would typically throw from if you just walk into a knife throwing place. Pinch grip, right there, you make sure your thumb is on the hole, 2 fingers around, and, well, if you have small hands, you can also do, I'll do it the other way. If you have small hands, you can put 3 fingers in front and just lock your pinky in behind. That may feel weird, but the reason for it is so that you can grab it the same every time, which is important. A lot of places where you'll go in, they'll tell you to hold a knife a certain way, and they'll tell you what to do, but they won't tell you why. And I think understanding the physics of it, understanding why you do it a certain way, will help you adapt your own movement, because everybody's throw for a casual throw is going to be different. It's based on height, weight, reach advantage, whether or not you have any medical impairments, like if you can't raise your shoulder to a certain point. I think the most dangerous thing is people saying, "Oh, I want to throw it my way." If you're not a professional knife thrower, let me just dispel that rumor right now. You don't have a way. You're being taught to do things a certain way, not only for your safety, but for, make sure you don't damage the knives, make sure you don't damage the boards needlessly, and make sure that you don't ricochet like and hit somebody else. Wailing at the board, throwing really hard is, it's never going to make it stick better, ever. There are 2 things, really, other than, correct procedure, that are being activated when you're throwing. One is the rotational value. That's triggered by your arm. If you throw harder with your arm, it's going to spin faster, and you'll never be able to calculate distance to the target, because you need one rotation between where you're standing versus where the target is. If you're really tall, you have a reach advantage, so your throw is going to be different than somebody who's really small. If you're really heavy but have weak arms, your throw is going to be different than somebody who's really light but has really strong arms. The impulse is to do what all of us were taught to do as kids, is to throw a baseball. And you just kind of wind up and you throw. I'm going to show you vertically why you don't do that. Because you want this knife, you can see, yes, you want this knife to stay as vertical as possible on the way to the target, so you keep your elbow in. Whenever you throw a baseball, typically you go palm out and you throw. Whenever you do that with a knife, your elbow comes out and look at where that knife is. And then you throw forward, and to you this feels natural, feels correct. But you're now taking a knife that's supposed to be spinning vertically on this way to the target, and you're adding an extra rotational value. You're adding an extra axis. It's unnecessary and it's unpredictable, and it's just going to bounce. And I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that when it lands like that, you think you're doing it right. You're not. You couldn't recreate that intentionally if you tried. Now, typically speaking, I'm never worried about people's aim. Your aim comes with experience. Your aim comes with time. Put in the time, put in the practice, your aim will get better. What I'm looking for is the knives all hitting in the same direction. I don't care where on the board they hit, but if they're all parallel, there, and there, that means that every one of those was thrown intentionally. It was that the motion was repeated. It was consistent. It's all you're looking for when you first get started. Do not throw hard. Keep your elbow in. Casual grip at the second hole. And, be responsible. Make sure your board's wet. So we're going to throw a few. And I'm going to show you the second thing that you need to know, which is shifting your weight. So it's up, my elbow's in. You notice I've shifted my weight from my back leg to my front leg. Okay, so I do it that way because after years of hand-to-hand combat training, that's just what I'm comfortable with, shifting my weight. But there's something that a lot of guys will be very condescending and they'll call this the princess kick. And I'm cool with them calling it that because they're demeaning female knife throwers. But the thing is, statistically speaking, women are better knife throwers. They are. Why? Because they go into it with caution. They go into it with respect because they're throwing a weapon and it's scary. Absolutely. Guys, we're dumb. Our impulse is to wail at the target. It takes a lot more to train somebody to bring it back than it does to train somebody to go a little bit harder. So the princess kick, your leg comes off the ground, and a lot of guys will make fun of it, but sorry guys, that's correct. You're shifting your weight from your back leg to your front, okay? Throwing with just your arm, it's all spin value, but it's no forward momentum. You need body lean. Get your knees bent, okay? You need to shift your weight from here to here. Now, another common mistake is somebody will take a step with their front. Now, you can do that when you have it marked off and you're throwing an axe, because an axe is a very heavy implement. These weigh 13, 14 ounces. You don't need a step. That's too much power. But what you can do, let's see if I can get close enough to, well, you can't see my feet, but what you can do is lift your front toe and then rock and lift your back heel. But the reason you don't take a step with knife throwing is because every inch matters. If you lift your foot and you step forward, that knife may land. The odds of you taking the exact same step on your second knife, not great. As soon as you change the distance, even by an inch, that's the difference between it hitting like this versus it hitting like this versus it hitting like this. You want it to hit dead on every time. So, take your weight from your back leg, keep your elbow in. I love it when I do a video and I get a perfect score. It's kind of awesome. Well, you notice all three knives hit at the same angle. It's because the motion was consistent. Simple pinch grip, weight on my back leg, elbow in, shift your weight. It's really all there is to it. Another good rule of thumb is that on your first knife, on your first knife, pay attention to how it hits, because you want to make your adjustment. If you do everything the same every time, your force is the same, your lean is the same, your elbow's in the same position, it's the same arm motion. If you limit all of those variables to doing the same thing every time, then the only thing you should ever have to worry about is, am I too close or am I too far back? It's just a matter of inches. Okay, so you pay attention to how your first knife hits. If it hits like that, point down. So if the target is here and it hits like that, handle is up, blade is down, it's not making contact. What that means is the knife had too much room, okay? It was rotating, it missed the entry point and slammed into the handle. So in that point, what you gotta do is move up an inch or two so that when it comes in, it's hitting like that. If that first knife hits, boom, like that, you're too close. Back up so that it has room. Again, this is a very simple, casual throw. There's a million different ways to throw knives. There's one spin military, there's one spin underhand, there's underhand rotational, there's underhand half spin, there's overhand half spin. There's pigua, which is backhand sidearm. There's there's the dandao, which is that's an overhead no spin, and no spin by itself is I don't know. Maybe we can get Whisper to make a video on that, because Whisper is the amateur national champion for no spin, and it's just amazing watching that guy work. And yeah, there's intuitive, which is, you know, just like this, and it leaves your hand. It doesn't really spin, it just sails. There's a million things that you can do with knives in terms of throwing them. There's a lot of disciplines that you can observe, and it's fun. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, perfecting this craft saved my life, because there's a lot of metaphors involved in this, and it takes a lot of patience to do it, and it's really gratifying, actually, because there's a lot of things that you think you can't do. And when somebody says, hey, let's go throw knives, that's scary. You know, it's intimidating. Like, who the hell throws knives? But so you walk into it thinking, I could never do this. And then you break it down mechanically. And you say, okay, I do this and this and this in that order, same every time. And then boom, it lands. And the first time you feel that thud, just, oh, you're King Kong on cocaine. It's just an amazing feeling. And then you start noticing, like, wait a minute, I came in and I said I couldn't do this, and now I'm doing it. Not only that, after a while, I'm doing it well. Not every knife lands, okay? And that doesn't matter. What matters is you pick them up, you walk to the line, you throw again. Peace out, peeps.